Welcome to University, a podcast for young people navigating life's big transitions. I'm Annmarie and your host. On University, you'll hear stories from college students. You'll get tips from experts. And occasionally, you'll hear from a parent's perspective on how to manage this time of change in your life consciously. Find yourself, find your purpose, find your people, and pursue you fearlessly.
This week, Adam, let's talk about Ben. I loved talking with Ben. He was awesome. He was really honest, and he did some pretty cool things on his gap year. And I want to hear kind of your thoughts, what you thought about the episode, what stood out most for you, what you learned, all that good stuff. Do you remember?
Yeah, I noticed that you really enjoyed talking with him, and I enjoyed listening to him. He is very wise, and he's very brave, I noticed. He's not scared of the unknown, but that took some learning, and that took some experience of his to realize that the unknown, beyond control, beyond fear, life just kind of is, and he has goals, and whether they're specific or they're not, he understands that life is fluid. And I think that's what I took from him.
Yeah, well, okay, I'm so glad you started with the unknown piece, because one of the things I wrote down after listening to the episode this morning is he said, the more I started to learn about the world, the more confused I was.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is perfect. This idea that this time in our lives is stepping into the unknown is such a scary, flipping concept. And it's exactly what this time in life is all about. And by the way, it doesn't ever stop. Like, you figure something out, you sort of get on the bike, you're riding the bike for a while, you know exactly where you're heading, and then there's a detour in life, and then you're back into the unknown again. So being like this time in life when you're flying the coop, right? When you're leaving your house for the first time, or you're leaving high school and you're starting your young adult life experience, is exactly that. It's stepping into the unknown. And so getting comfortable with being in the unknown is the whole game here.
Is that the first time you think people generally the way life is set up, is that the first time where the unknown has become a real big thing for people?
Well, no, but I think it's like the first time when you're not being completely held by necessarily your parents or your family or your the structure is starting to release itself. So for many people at this time in their life, they are leaving their home where there's been some stable base, and everything is changing. It's like the first biggest time, I would imagine.
I mean, even just like how you eat, because that happens 3 times a day. Like, even something as simple as that is changing and is unknown. And then he said, the more I learned about life, the more confused I got.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I'm putting myself in his headspace, or at least in a headspace of a young person transitioning from high school to college, from college year to year. And then also there's a lot of new going on, because the job in summer in high school was play sports, play an instrument, and work at the local pool. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, I'm going into my internships, I'm going into my interests, I'm actually developing a career. The summers are different. The beginning of the year is different. All that stuff is unknown. So how does he get more confused as he learns more about life, as he experiences more? And then
he said he's learned to just accept confusion, which was beautiful, because acceptance is the key to transformation.
Yes.
And if you can just accept what's occurring, as if see, one thing we all do, particularly as parents, but even just people, right? So young people, we get confused. We have this experience. It feels uncomfortable. Nobody likes to be confused. And then we start to make up a story that something's wrong. Oh, something's wrong. I shouldn't feel confused, because life should always feel a particular way, which, by the way, means it should feel easeful, playful. And it doesn't, that because that's not what the life journey is all about. It's appropriate to be confused. It's
right. But acceptance. So hold on. Acceptance of that creates space for playfulness and
yes,
ease. So like in my mind, should is strong. I know like you don't like that word, but it should feel easy. Easy is good. Easy is the way to go. And in order for it to feel that way, acceptance, and that's the difficult work. And
yeah.
you do that up front, then the ease comes. That's the way I've kind of been thinking about it.
Well, let's play with the words. So it can feel easeful if you accept. So being confused can be easeful if you don't resist it, if you don't judge it, if you don't make it bad, if you don't make it wrong. If you just go, oh, hey, confusion is here. It's exactly what's supposed to be here when I have 25 options and I'm not sure which one to choose. So being in the unknown, is exactly right in this now moment. And I don't have to resist it. I don't have to be afraid of it. I don't have to make it wrong or bad.
You know what? Okay, I just got out of a presentation that I did for some teachers in my district, and one of the things that I came to was like beyond fear is, beyond control is, but the beauty of accepting your fear, moving through your fear. I think sometimes I spoke to the teachers about ways to communicate to their communities, ways to communicate to their students, like finding inspiration for communication, finding the inspiration. We have all the tools at our fingertips to communicate any way we want to right now. And I think the hang up that comes for people is they have too many options and they're fearful that they're going to A, waste their time, B, pick the wrong one. There's 1,000 options in how to communicate. But when you accept confusion as not a bad thing, then all of a sudden you start going, all those options aren't scary anymore. All those options just are. And you allow the correct options, the ones for you, to choose you more than you choosing them. And that comes from the idea of acceptance. And so I was like, look, you still have all these options, but they're just not as scary as when you first like looked at it.
It also, there's not a right option or a wrong option.
Right. There's just infinite rights. Yeah.
There's agreed. Just choosing and learning. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I choose this option. It gets a result that I enjoy. So I'll choose that option again, or I choose that option and it gets a result I don't like. So I don't choose that again, or I do, and I keep getting a result I don't like. Like, this is all about play. We talked a little bit about play, but it's all about play, like having the freedom to experiment, having the freedom to quote unquote make mistakes and try on new things. When kids are young, they play, they like build blocks, and then their tower falls and they're like, oh, I learned that if I put that block on top of that block, it's the whole thing's going to collapse. So I should try something new or different if I don't want that result again. And so it was
fun when the tower fell.
Yes, and it was fun when I was building it. It's all fun.
Yeah, right. There's no like this grindy goal you need to get to.
Yeah, there isn't. He's pointing at, I think, in so many ways on this episode, he's talking about, like, I took this gap year to sort of undo this programming that I was being sort of, culturalized into. And I took a break to figure out, like, who am I in all of that? And then I accepted that once I figured out who I sort of am, it's sort of confusing because there's so many things to figure out. And up until then, like, his whole life has sort of been chosen for him, right? Like,
confusion was bad. Yeah.
Like, you're born into this family, you're born into this circumstance, you're born in this life, you're born, and all these people make decisions for you. But now, when you have to make all the decisions, holy shit, it's confusing. I don't know what to do. Like when Brandon was pointing out a few weeks ago, I don't want to be a teacher, but now I have to take responsibility for choosing something new. And guess what? When I take responsibility, I'm the only one that,
I need to answer that. I need to answer
that
to.
I have to answer to. Like if it doesn't
Yeah.
work, I can't blame it on mom and dad or anyone else. I have to take responsibility myself. So, that's the scary thing. The scary thing is like, it's on me now.
Okay, so how do people do that, right? So we're both talking this like big above the line, like free flowing,
Broad
create
conversation. Yeah.
space way. So how do people do that that are noticing they have a giant resistance to, flying to Asia for a year, or, like that's how Ben found Ben. I like what you said. He unraveled his life through his gap year a little bit. He unraveled his so then how do people do that without maybe that don't want to do something like that? Like what are ways that they can turn this podcast off and start unraveling?
Yeah. Remember, Ben didn't, by the way, go anywhere. He stayed home. And
Okay.
One of the things that he did is he just started creating new habits for himself, and he started taking care of body first, body and mind. So he was exercising, he was working out, he was meditating. So he created an experience for himself. He created space for himself such that he could get still and quiet and learn to listen in and tune into himself. So to me, that's the key. So one question I would ask listeners is, what habits need to be in place for you to be clear and at your best self?
Yeah.
So, and I think that's a really important muscle to build at any age or any stage of your life, is creating a little bit of space every day, every week, as much as you can, so that you have the ability to tap into your own intelligence, your own awareness.
I like what you said, how Ben didn't go anywhere. He just redefined his habits at home. He created a home base and started just building habits that would build him up. That sounds like a giant piece of advice and guidance for so many kids out there. And I'm thinking particularly of my cousin, Robert.
Yeah. Like how do you become an expert on your own life, on your own self, on your own being? And one way Ben did it was through meditation. And he said his meditation practice helped him navigate stress better and cultivate more self-awareness, and teach him how to be with his emotions, fear, anxiety, stress, whatever. Teach him how to be with them, not get rid of them. So meditation, of course, I'm going to preach about meditation because I believe in meditation, but there's also so many ways for you to create space for yourself.
Jim.
So many ways.
Anything like that. Seeing a certain friend once a week that brings you there, having different types of conversations. I agree with that, and I think Ben, what he did was he created space. He committed to space that allowed him to do those things.
Yes.
To find those things. We can't control Maggie. Maggie's just gonna bark, Annmarie.
Do you guys hear really cute. My dog barking in the background? What's Maggie feeling right now? She's feeling threatened.
Excitement.
She wants to play with the dog outside. So I think that the big takeaway with Ben is this idea of being okay with stepping into the unknown and then creating space so that you have an opportunity to cultivate self-awareness, so that you know who you are, so that you're making decisions from an internally referenced place, not a place that is just defined by our culture, but defined by our family, defined by our friends, which is so in our face all the time. So keep stepping forward.
What does creating space look like? Can you give some examples? Is it just sitting on the couch, with nothing around you? Is it,
it's
for
people
that don't know, they don't want to try it. Yeah.
It's definitely, it would be, meditation would be my first suggestion. And all meditation means is stillness away from any outside stimulation. So no technology, no TV, no radio, no books, nothing. Just 5 minutes of time just watching your thoughts. That if you were just to do that every day, but my fear is that that's not happening very much these days. What's happening is like we go to bed with our phones in our face or Instagram. Like our brain is being fed a diet of other people's belief systems, and then we're not connected to our own belief systems. We have no idea who we are, what we believe. We're so disconnected, and it feels bad. So if we can put down our phones, put down our computers, put down our conversations with other people, and just spend a few minutes by ourselves, like before you go to bed or when you wake up in the morning, or just like carve out 5 minutes. That's it. You don't have to do anything special around it. I mean, you can do lots of special things. You can light candles, you can play music, you can create all these sacred spaces. There's lots of things you can do to support deeper awareness and deeper awakening, but you don't have to. You can just be still. And every single day, if you devote to it, you're building your muscle of awareness. And the deeper you are connected to that muscle of awareness, the deeper you're connected to yourself and your own intuition, your own knowing. And that's the name of the game, is if you keep getting still and quiet enough that the outside voices don't run your life, that you're aware of them and they run through the filter of who you are.
That's pretty good.
That's what I have to say about that.
that was pretty good. And I don't mean to demean what you just said, but yeah, that felt right. That felt good. I think like the idea that Ben created the space by not leaving home, not going back to school, not flying somewhere. Like the answers aren't in Greece, in Russia. They're not in, the Philippines. They're not with other people. All the answers are within. And we've done what we can in this life to make sure that those answers aren't as accessible as they should be. And they could be. And so I think like meditation has been good for me, but I'm going to take the challenge, and I think I'm just going to like sit on my couch today for 5 minutes with nothing on and nothing around and just kind of like sit there. And I'm actually kind of getting laughs thinking about it. Me just kind of like, I'm picturing like Mary walking in and me just sitting on the couch, like with nothing going on, my eyes open, and she'll literally just be like, the hell are you doing? But like, and I want to respond to her, and I want to say nothing.
Do nothing.
Like
do nothing.
Like literally nothing. Like there's a line in a Seinfeld where Jerry asks Elaine, he's like, what'd you do yesterday? She goes, nothing. And he goes, I mean, I know you did nothing, but like what'd you do? Like you did something. And she goes, nothing. I literally just sat in a chair and I stared. And he goes, wow, that really is nothing. And I always found that line really funny because she did nothing. And I think that'd be a cool experiment. So yeah,
we should have a challenge, Adam. We should
how long we can just sit there?
The do nothing challenge. Like how long can you sit and do nothing? Like literally nothing. Not look at your phone, not watch TV, not be in conversation, just do nothing.
Like not even meditating. Like just I mean, and that is a form of meditation, I guess, but like just do nothing. I think it'd be funny at times. I think emotions would start running through me in a very authentic way.
Like, I love this. Yeah. Do nothing and there's nothing to do.
There is nothing to do. I've been coming to terms with a little more and more lately. Like there is nothing to do. Like what are we all doing here?
We're all trying to figure it out.
I know. And there's nothing to figure out.
Speaking of, I gotta go. I have a client. I gotta go do something now.
Yeah, well, all right. Well, have a good client. And this was
fun.
Sesh. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I appreciate Ben. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, good job, Ben.
Showing us the way. And thanks, Adam.
Yeah, bye.
Ciao.
Thanks for listening to University. If you liked what you heard, I'd be absolutely thrilled for you to share with a friend, and equally grateful for you to pop over and rate and review on iTunes. It really helps. You can find more information and stay in touch over at university.u on Instagram or at University on Facebook. I'll look forward to seeing you there. For more information, email me at annmarie.university@gmail.com or click the link in the show notes below.